I'll never forget that fateful night in the heart of the New Jersey Pine Barrens. The air was thick with the scent of pine trees and the eerie sound of cicadas, setting the stage for an unforgettable encounter with the legendary Jersey Devil. It was a night that would haunt my dreams for years to come. I had always been intrigued by the tales of the Jersey Devil, a mythical creature said to roam the Pine Barrens. They said it had the body of a kangaroo, the head of a horse, and bat-like wings. People had claimed to see it in the past, but I had always been skeptical. That was until that one moonlit night. My friends and I had decided to camp deep within the Pine Barrens, an area known for its desolate beauty and eerie quiet. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we gathered around our campfire, sharing stories and laughter, doing our best to shake off the growing unease that had settled over us. But as the night grew darker, a sense of foreboding swept over us. The rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl seemed to transform into something more sinister. And then we heard it, a blood-curdling, inhuman screech echoing through the forest. My heart raced as we searched the surrounding woods with our flashlights. The eerie glow of the moon revealed twisted, gnarled trees casting long shadows, and the darkness seemed to be closing in around us. It was then that I caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye. My heart nearly stopped as I saw it. The Jersey Devil, its grotesque silhouette cast against the moon, wings unfurled, and eyes that glowed with an otherworldly malevolence. Panic coursed through me, and I could hear my friends shouting in terror. We grabbed our belongings and fled, our flashlights trembling as we tried to navigate through the dense underbrush. The creature pursued us, its unearthly screeches growing closer and closer as though it was toying with us. We ran, tripping over roots and branches, our breaths coming in ragged gasps. It was as if the Pine Barrens themselves conspired to slow us down, making our escape seem impossible. But just when we thought the creature would catch us, we stumbled upon a clearing bathed in the soft glow of the moon. A sudden burst of courage and adrenaline fueled our sprint, and we managed to break free from the clutches of the Jersey Devil. As we reached the edge of the Pine Barrens, we dared not look back. The terrifying screeches faded into the distance, and the creature receded into the shadows. It was a night none of us would ever forget. A night when the line between myth and reality blurred, leaving us with a bone-chilling tale to tell for the rest of our lives. To this day, I can't explain what we saw or heard in those dark woods, but one thing is certain. The legend of the Jersey Devil is not a story to be taken lightly. The Pine Barrens hold secrets, and that night, I felt the malevolent presence of a creature that defied explanation. My encounter with the Lady in White remains etched in my memory as one of the most haunting and inexplicable experiences of my life. It was a moonless night, and a thick fog had descended upon our small town. I was driving home from a late-night shift when I first spotted her, standing by the side of the road. As I approached, I could see her clearly, a spectral figure shrouded in a flowing, ethereal white gown that seemed to glow with an eerie luminance. Her long, raven-black hair framed her delicate face, and her eyes, dark and mournful, held a sadness that sent shivers down my spine. I slowed my car, unsure of what to do. She extended a pale, slender arm, her fingers beckoning me with a grace that defied explanation. My curiosity and a strange compulsion drove me to stop. I rolled down my window, and the night air felt unnaturally cold against my skin. "Are you lost?" I asked, my voice trembling. She nodded slowly, her gaze never leaving mine. It was as if her eyes could pierce through my very soul, and I felt an inexplicable sense of empathy and sorrow for her. Without a word, she stepped closer to my car, her gown flowing like a ghostly river around her. I could feel my heart racing as she climbed into the passenger seat. The moment she sat down, a chill enveloped the car, and my breath turned visible in the frigid air. I had no idea where I was taking her, but I couldn't help but obey her silent plea for help. We drove in silence, the only sound the soft hum of the engine and the distant howling of a lone wolf. I stole glances at her, and her beauty was ethereal and otherworldly. But beneath that beauty, there was an unmistakable sadness in her eyes. As we reached an old, decrepit cemetery at the edge of town, she motioned for me to stop. I obliged, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. She stepped out of the car and turned to face me. With a soft, mournful smile, she said, "Thank you for your kindness." And then, she simply disappeared into the fog, her white gown dissolving into the mist as if she had never been there. I sat in my car, stunned and bewildered, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The next morning, I visited the cemetery, drawn by an irresistible urge. There, among the weathered gravestones, I found a forgotten, unmarked grave. It was then that I realized that I had encountered the spirit of a restless soul, the Lady in White, who had found her way to me that eerie, fog-shrouded night, seeking solace in the company of a living soul. From that day forward, I often wondered about the enigmatic encounter, and the Lady in White became a spectral presence in the stories I would tell, a reminder that the line between the living and the dead is not always as clear as it seems. Playing the Charlie Charlie game had always seemed like an innocent, spooky pastime among my friends and me. It was a rainy Saturday evening, and we were all gathered in my dimly lit basement, the flickering candlelight creating eerie shadows on the walls. Excitement and nervous laughter filled the room as we arranged the pencils in the shape of a cross on a piece of paper, writing yes and no in the 4 quadrants. As the designated leader of the game, I held my breath for a moment, not knowing what to expect. The rain outside intensified, adding to the ominous atmosphere. I couldn't help but feel a growing unease as we chanted, "Charlie, Charlie, can we play?" To my surprise, the pencil began to move. Slowly, as if guided by an unseen force, it moved towards yes. The room fell silent, and a shiver ran down my spine. I exchanged nervous glances with my friends. Had one of them been pushing the pencil? It didn't seem so. Summoning my courage, I continued, "Charlie, Charlie, are you here with us?" Again, the pencil moved, this time with more force. It landed firmly on yes. Panic washed over me, and I could feel the tension in the room intensify. None of us were expecting this level of response. "Charlie, Charlie, do you mean us any harm?" I asked, my voice quivering. The pencil hesitated for a moment, wobbling between yes and no. The room seemed to grow colder, and an eerie feeling settled over us. It finally settled on yes. Now fear had completely taken hold of us. The game was no longer fun, and we were convinced that something sinister was happening. But curiosity, or perhaps a lingering trace of youthful foolishness, led us to ask one more question. "Charlie, Charlie, what do you want from us?" The pencil moved swiftly to die. A collective gasp escaped our lips, and the candle flame flickered wildly as though caught in a sudden gust of wind. The room grew even colder, and it felt as though an invisible presence loomed over us. In a panic, we abruptly ended the game by breaking the pencil and tearing up the paper, casting the fragments into the trash. The rain outside had turned into a thunderstorm, adding to the overall sense of impending doom. For weeks afterward, strange occurrences plagued us. Objects inexplicably moved, shadows danced in the corners of our vision, and nightmares plagued our sleep. We couldn't shake the feeling that we had unleashed something malevolent during that ill-fated game of Charlie Charlie. In the end, the experience had taught us a chilling lesson. Some games, even seemingly innocent ones, should never be played. We had crossed a line we could never fully return from, and the supernatural had left an indelible mark on our lives. My friends and I had always been drawn to urban legends and scary tales. There was something thrilling about the idea of venturing into the unknown, testing the boundaries of reality, even if it meant playing with superstitions and supernatural stories. One night, we decided to delve into the legend of Bloody Mary. Little did we know that our curiosity would lead us down a path we could never have anticipated. It was a cold, stormy evening when the idea was hatched. We were gathered at my friend Jenna's house, huddled around a flickering candle. The rain tapped ominously against the windows, casting eerie shadows across the room. Our excited voices filled the air as we prepared to perform the ritual. I stood before the bathroom mirror, the single candle flickering behind me. Jenna, Sarah, and Mark crowded behind me, their expressions a mix of anticipation and nervousness. We had been told the rules, say Bloody Mary 3 times and she would appear. We took a collective breath and began the chant. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. The bathroom was plunged into darkness as the candle went out. An icy chill filled the room, and our collective breaths were visible in the cold air. A deafening silence followed, one that seemed to stretch into eternity. The fear that gripped us was palpable, our hearts pounding in our chests. And then, it happened. The mirror seemed to ripple like a distorted image in a funhouse mirror. We stared in horrified disbelief as the reflection of a woman appeared. She was pale, with long, tangled black hair, and her eyes were empty, devoid of any emotion. She reached out, her cold, bony fingers brushing against the mirror, and a guttural, chilling whisper escaped her lips. The room filled with her anguished cries as her face contorted in agony. Her ghostly hands clawed at the glass, trying to escape her otherworldly prison. Panic overtook us and we ran from the bathroom, slamming the door shut behind us. Jenna's house had transformed into a chamber of horrors. Unearthly wails echoed through the hallway, and we could hear the sound of glass breaking. The chilling sensation of being watched never left us, even as we barricaded ourselves in the living room. Terrified and with trembling hands, we called the police. As they arrived, we dared not go near the bathroom again. When they finally entered the room, the tumultuous scene we had witnessed had vanished, leaving nothing but a shattered mirror. The officers questioned us about what had transpired, but our explanations only drew skeptical looks. They left, warning us not to play with supernatural forces and to avoid such dangerous games. We nodded in agreement, realizing that we had indeed ventured into something beyond our understanding. The legend of Bloody Mary had come to life that night, and it had left its mark on us forever. The experience taught us that some tales should remain in the realm of folklore, and that sometimes it's better not to tempt the unknown, for the supernatural can be far more terrifying than we could ever imagine.